So it turns out there are many people who don't support using AI to learn a language. Personally, I think it's a very effective and versatile tool in your arsenal to learn a language. And by the end of this video, you will too. To begin, let's address one of the biggest concerns when it comes to using AI to learn a language. You may not receive correct information. And this is a very valid concern. Can I trust ChatGPT? I mean, look at Google's AI. They've told many people terrible ways to go about things instead of giving them correct, helpful information. And here are some examples popping up on the screen right now. That AI has been wrong dozens of times and often to a harmful degree. So in order to test whether or not AI is accurate, I asked one of my Cambodian classmates if the text I generated for him was accurate or not. I asked him to rate it on a scale of 1 to 100, with 100 being the best and 1 being the worst. And his answer? It was in the mid-90s. He was genuinely impressed. And it isn't like Khmer is a very popular language to learn or one that has risen to prominence. So, even with the limited amount of information it has about Khmer, ChatGPT was still able to produce a text that was about mid-90% accuracy, according to my Cambodian friend. For context, Cambodia has around 18.5 million people, so if your target language has more native speakers than 18.5 million people, then there's a good chance that ChatGPT will produce relatively correct information in your target language. But what about specific questions in your target language? What about questions about grammar? And again, I asked my Cambodian friend, and he wanted some information on verb tenses because apparently they're quite different in Khmer than it is in English. And what's super interesting about this is that ChatGPT gave incomplete information on the verb tense subject. It was missing one key component. But that was because I was using ChatGPT 3.5. If you have the premium plan, or ChatGPT 4.0, it'll produce all the information that you would want to find about verb tenses. So the main takeaway here is that ChatGPT 3.5 can give you answers, but they may be incomplete. So for a more thorough answer, I would consult ChatGPT 4.0 if you can afford it. Lastly, is ChatGPT able to answer questions in a culturally appropriate tone? Because if you're like a Spanish speaker and you want to improve your English to teach like little kids in the United States, you don't want to continuously expose yourself to swear words without realizing that they're swear words, because then once you go to teach your kids, you'll be swearing at them. And then they'll come home to their parents, and then the parents will find out where they got the swear, and it wouldn't be good for your job prospects at all. So I asked it some questions in Portuguese to see how it would respond, and it kind of answers questions in a culturally appropriate tone. It's a little weirdly phrased, I'll say, but you wouldn't be in bad hands if you asked it about being culturally appropriate in Portuguese. I would say that it has around a 75% culturally appropriate tone. Like if I responded in the way that ChatGPT responded to me, I would get funny looks because the way that I would speak would be kind of weird. Like I'd use verb conjugations that nobody really uses in spoken Portuguese. But other than that, really, it's not super different from what you would hear. So you can still learn the culturally appropriate tones, but it may be better to seek different resources like YouTube or Reddit or a native speaker. And before we talk about what concerns you guys have with AI, let's talk about my biggest concern, which is the environment. And to be honest, this is above my pay grade. This stuff is so complex, I don't even want to begin to understand it. Like, I don't even know how you would standardize the amount of energy it consumes or the amount of water it consumes when it's kind of more of a system rather than an individual choice. But I can give you an opinion. I'm really good at giving you opinions. If you are concerned about the environment, there are more meaningful actions you can take than not using ChatGPT. It would be like using Duolingo to learn a language. Like, you can use it, but why would you use it when there are other more effective tools at your disposal? And that isn't even comparing your impact to the impact of big companies, which are already using AI to improve their products. But by all means, if this is something that you feel strongly about, then go ahead. You don't have to use ChatGPT. But for me, there are better ways that I can help the environment, help the planet, help Earth, than not use ChatGPT. Other than that, there is one other thing I'd like to discuss, and that is the text-to-speech feature. It is really nice, but there are some languages that it just doesn't do so well in. For example, in English, Portuguese, Mandarin, those are all languages that it sounds fairly similar to a native speaker. But for other languages, for example, those that have click sounds like Xhosa or Zulu, it doesn't produce the sounds that you hear when other people speak it in real life. And there is no way around this issue. So if you are looking to learn pronunciation, ChatGPT is not the way to go to do that. It's like using a tennis ball to play basketball. You can use a tennis ball to play basketball, but why would you when there are other better tools for you to play basketball, like a basketball? And the analogy applies to ChatGPT. You can use ChatGPT to practice your pronunciation, but why would you when there are so many better other resources for you to do that? And these could be things like social media, Google Translate. I've heard of this thing called Forvo that apparently is pretty good. Conversely, there are better ways for you to use ChatGPT than to use it for pronunciation. There are things that ChatGPT excels at that other resources can't replicate. Every tool has a particular time and place where it is most effective, and this holds true for ChatGPT. And now we get to the comments section. Why were you guys opposed to using ChatGPT to learn a language? The first one is a short one, being that AI is harmful to society by replacing education. Here's how I look at it. You have two possible outcomes. AI will not replace education and instead contribute to it, much like YouTube does. YouTube did not replace education, but people use YouTube to help themselves learn, and I think the same thing will happen with AI. Secondly, if AI completely replaced education, would that be such a bad thing? Technological progress is accelerated by autonomy. We no longer need many farmers, we have machines to do it for us. We no longer need many factory workers because we have machines to do it for us. And what happened because of a result of this? The prices on goods decreased, and the workers that used to hold those positions went on to contribute to society in other, more impactful ways. The end result are cheaper goods and an increased labor force. The second one is a much more valid concern, being that if you use AI, you will begin to speak and write like AI. And I do think this is true, to an extent. If you have a conversation with ChatGPT, you'll be able to understand that it doesn't sound entirely human. And if you learn only using ChatGPT, I think that you would still come off as quite human up until about a week or so. So I think that this concern is a little bit over-exaggerated. But we can take this seriously. What if AI made you sound like this? Well, this user and I differ to the degree to which you would use AI to help you learn a language. If you were to only use AI to learn a language, then you would sound and speak like AI. But as you incorporate different resources into your learning, then you will begin to sound less like AI and more like where you got the other resources. For example, if you start listening to music and speaking with natives, you will begin to sound more like the people who sing those songs and the natives that you speak to, rather than a chatbot. And to be clear, I don't recommend using only AI to learn a language. So if you're scared of using AI to learn a language, then I suggest one of two things. Either use AI less or use other resources more. But at that point, why not just cut it out completely? Because of its versatility. That is what separates ChatGPT from every single resource that you can find. On no other platform can you ask it to come up with a text about any subject you want, to understand more in any language you want, and make them include vital words while they do it. Have the program read it aloud to you, talk back to it, while also being able to ask for further clarification if you don't understand something. That is absolutely absurd and the main reason why I support using ChatGPT to learn a language. And it's free, which means that so long as you have internet and a device that connects to it, you can use ChatGPT. I don't want to go over the strengths too much in this video. That'll be in another video, so look out for it. But I primarily wanted to discuss the fears over AI to learn a language. I think they're a bit over-exaggerated. And I hope that you feel that way too, based on what I've had to say about it. If I missed a counter argument or an argument, let me know in the comments. I'd love to debate and get more perspectives. With that, have a great day, good luck in your studying, and I'll see you in another video. Ciao.